You sit down at your desk, swear you're going to study for 3 hours, and then immediately pick up your phone and start scrolling. It happens all the time. People act entirely differently around their families than they do with their friends. One company thrives under pressure, while another collapses overnight. When we try to figure out why these things happen, we usually rely on our own hunches. But looking at the world through our personal experiences leads to subjective conclusions that often miss the mark. Psychologists don't guess. To understand what people do, they rely on a strict 5-step scientific framework. This formal structure is how researchers convert subjective experiences into evidence that can be independently verified. The first step is description. Before you can solve a behavioral problem, you have to accurately define what that behavior actually looks like. One way to do this is through the observation method, which involves recording subjects in their natural environment, like watching a classroom from the back without interfering. Once a behavior is clearly described, psychologists look for mathematical patterns to forecast future actions. This is the second step, prediction. This graph sets up correlational research. By tracking study time on the x-axis and academic achievement on the y-axis, we test for a relationship. Plotting actual student scores forms a clear upward sloping line. This correlation lets us predict future performance. But while description and prediction show us the trajectory of an action, they still can't tell us why that behavior happens in the first place. Step 3, explanation, identifies the causal factors or determinants behind a behavior. To find that cause and effect link, psychologists use the experimental method, carefully isolating specific variables to see exactly what triggers a change. By splitting subjects into a control group and an experimental group, researchers can introduce a single change, like putting students in a completely quiet room, and prove if that specific environment is the actual reason test scores improve. Once that exact cause is locked down, we reach the fourth step, control. This is where researchers manipulate the environment to alter the outcome. In everyday terms, that means physically changing the conditions around you. If a phone is the proven cause of distraction, permanently removing it from your study space is a direct form of control. Moving from passive observation to active experimentation is what gives us the power to reshape human habits. However, human behavior is often too complex or too widespread to fit neatly into a controlled laboratory setting. When researchers need to gauge the attitudes or opinions of a massive population, they deploy surveys and questionnaires to gather data at scale. For the exact opposite scenario, they use case studies. This is a deep, detailed narrative investigation into a unique individual or a specific, extreme context. An extreme context might mean trying to understand the subjective psychological trauma of surviving a massive natural disaster, where objective measurement is impossible. The specific constraints of a study, whether it involves millions of people or a single unique event, determine which of these tools is most appropriate. All of this data collection, experimentation, and analysis serves one final goal. Step 5, application. This means taking everything learned and using it to bring positive change to people's lives. We see this when clinical psychologists use structured practices like yoga and meditation to systematically reduce workplace stress or treat illness. But because this framework deals directly with human lives, it cannot be operated recklessly. Psychological inquiry relies on 3 strict ethical pillars: voluntary participation, informed consent, and protecting subjects from harm. Breaking our actions down into observable and testable pieces shows us that behavior is the result of specific internal and external forces. When we apply this framework, human actions become predictable patterns we can measure, analyze, and improve.